Evening, everybody. It's Sunday, the 24th of September. Tonight we've got pyramids and methylitic structures, and on the panel tonight we have Israel, we have America, Trisha from the UK, from America, and we have artists from Germany. So straight over to you, artists.
Well, thank you. Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here again on this Sunday. And I'm going to show you some ancient structures, and we're going to show some other stuff. But first, I'm going to show you something that I've investigated again. It is very interesting. I'm going to start with showing you some pictures. And, well, maybe it's fun to first start off with the maps where actually it is situated. That is also handy, so everybody knows which place I'm talking about. So let's go over there. Is this showing, Karen? Just to make sure.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. Here you have, this is in France. I can zoom out a bit so you can actually see where in France. This is in France. And you can see over here. That's the place where I'm going to talk about. So this is the alignment of the stones. I hope I found the place back. Yeah, found it. So here you have an. It's called. It's a big stone structure. It's an alignment of stones. It's basically in the city, near the city of Karnak in France. Is found a unique stone monument. It's basically a stone alignment that goes all the way through there, but I'm going to show that in a minute. The structure contains more than 3,000 large stones of a local granite and light up in several miles, basically from the southwest to the northeast. And now I'm going to zoom in. You can see those stones already. Oh, this is from the ground, and wait a second for I will show that. You can see the stones over here. This is a French restaurant, and the stones are lined up, going all the way. Some internet has to catch up for a bit. You can see those rows. Sometimes it's almost 7 rows, and it goes all the way for miles and miles. Even over here. And there also are small domes surrounding here, those dome-like structures. It's called, they put stones on top of each other, and this is basically the whole alignment. It's, I think, about 2 miles you stretch all the way. This is basically the end of it. And then you can, this is handy, you can also go on the ground to see the stones by the road. You can see how big they are, basically. If you have a car, some of them are as high as a car. Oh yeah, that's handy. You can see some of them are very big, some of them are smaller, and it goes all the way. City, some pieces are not are separated by roads because the roads had to go through them. Over here you can see the road coming through. Here's a road coming through. And now we're going to show you some more pictures of this lithic alignment. So we're going to shut this one off. It also saves me some bandwidth because otherwise my computer is a little bit slow. So let's show you some more pictures that are very interesting. Just a sec. Yeah, I got them. Here we go. This is the first picture. Why doesn't work? Wait on 4 seconds. For some strange reason, the picture wasn't showing in on my computer, so I have to redo it again. Okay, here we go. Does it show now, Karen?
Yeah, it's showing itself.
Okay, that's good. Well, basically, this is a picture of the stone alignment. You can see here is the north. This is about 1 mile, so altogether it's roughly 2 miles all the way. You can see another, this is the north. So it's from basically from the southwest to the northeast in a curving path. You can see the curving here. It goes, sometimes it goes up a hill, it goes a little bit in a curve. And there's an ancient story about those stones, because the story of this, the story of this structure, the ancient story, the fairy tale basically, goes like that. France was in that time period was very healthy city. They had a lot of food and everything was going great. And the people from another country, I don't know which country, some stories say England, some stories say that these are that the Vikings came into France to conquer it, and they had a big war, and there was a wizard in that village, and all the Vikings and were coming to the town to plunder the town and to rape the women and all that sort of things and to get their treasures. And then the wizard was so mad that he turned all the people into stone. So that's the fairy tale about this this thing that the wizard was so mad, and it almost looks like military ranks, like they had back in the day when they attacked something. And the wizard of the village was so mad he turned everybody who was attacking them into stone. So this is the ancient story about this structure. Here's one of the domes that also is in that path. We have here on the right some bushes. In those bushes you have dome-like structures like this. In the Netherlands it's called a hunebed. And in German it's called a Grootsteengraven. This is basically, here is that stone alignment, and all around, and these are those Grootsteengraven, those dome stone structures with around it's and around them you have all those rows over here, but you also have menhirs all around France standing up. So there's a lot of stones. Here's another dome, stone dome structure. It's also called dolmen over here in France. And this is an old picture from before they were putting roads between, because the people were also very mad, but they had to get some roads from because the cities got crowded, so they have to have more freeways and roads. And this is only one road. And what I found funny is here you can see the path that people took over here to walk to from that road to this. This is basically in also an hotel, and you can see that the people make strange walkways for themselves. This one goes to the middle almost, then it goes back, and then it goes here. Some of them go all the way over here. So it's a strange. I think it's interesting to see how people make their own path. Not straight ahead, just curved like a sea almost. Very fluid. So people tend to walk not a straight path, but more curved. So that's also very interesting. And most of those stones are also the bigger ones, like over here. Those bigger ones that are almost 2 meters plus high are also magnetic, and they also have a frequency sound. So if you meditate near those stones you start to hear some frequencies, and there's where Angel can cut in with his story about frequencies and sounds about monolithic structures. So Angel, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was actually kind of impressed by the structure you have there. It doesn't look quite as straight. You were pointing out how some of it curves.
It curves, yeah.
And I was wondering if those the domes, if they looked like they had like an entry and a vantage point, if they could like look out over it, if maybe that was like
Oh, this one.
yeah, kind of like that. You know, so
it's funny to say that the most of the domes around the world, I've investigated them in Germany and in the Netherlands, so I don't know for sure if it's the same in France, but most of the dome almost passageways they go in, or like the door part, like you said, all are facing the south. Some of them almost exactly. There's only one in Germany that is facing east, but the rest of them are all facing south.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there was any specific alignment, because I was noticing that the structure itself is on an angle, and then plus the fact it curves, so it's not really a true alignment type thing.
No, and also you have to bear in mind that it's very hilly over there, so sometimes it looks wavery, but it is straight ahead, but it's because of the mountains.
And that's what I was going to point out about your path through the rocks. You got to remember they were working with horse and buggy and/or on foot, and they kind of needed to go with whatever was the most level path, and wherever there was a bump or divots and stuff, they would work around because they didn't have shock absorbers. They were working with, you know, bouncing and bumping on horse and buggies, draw and stuff. So you know, so your path would be dictated by not always the direct path, but the easiest path.
Yeah, indeed. But I found the shapes that was very interesting to me, how those paths were formed like this.
Yeah, no, I see that. As far as, is there any point that, at least within that structure, that you would say would be the center or focal point, and maybe some of it might be alignments, or?
Well, basically, what the focal point is, where it starts, in my opinion. You can see this picture. Here it starts basically, and those are you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 bigger stones. And here in the corner is also a dome, so stones on top of each other in this corner. And this is basically where it starts going to the east. But this is basically what looks like a starting point.
Well, I do admit it is an undertaking for anyone to take, even in current day, to build something like that. And without heavy lifters and movers, it is not an easy task.
And you can see this block is bigger than that car over here. This is a car.
Right.
And most of them are almost the size of half a car. Here they become a little bit smaller, but the beginning is the stones are very big, and here's a dome. So it's very interesting that with all those. I can show you maybe the beginning on a map, if you like, to show you some close up if it works, or I don't know for sure.
Can you tell, or have you been able to tell from that dome? Can you oversee it? Like maybe it was a vineyard or something, and they were using heavy rocks to hold their grapes. I don't know. That would be a pretty large.
I didn't.
They weren't even
look.
That small.
No, I didn't.
The rocks look to be about hip high, right? The majority of them.
Yeah. The start is not that high. Not the highest point. But I can look for to make sure if it is. Give a second. Then I do turn on my maps again, and then I can maybe find how it looked like.
Artist, some of those stones have gone missing then.
Some of those stones where they
definitely
removed
them to put the road in.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. Thanks. They moved them for putting in the road. Yeah. Okay, over here. Oh, I'm going down again. This is basically the starting point. And if I put in my... Okay, this is the starting point. So this is a stone dome. With an entrance. You can see already it's going to the south, that entrance.
Right.
Almost. It's not very far off. I move it like this and I point it. It's very hard to get actually exactly that corner. But you can see over here if I turn it up like this, it's almost aligned exactly to the south, that entrance. Can you see that, Angel?
Yeah, no, I see that.
Just maybe I can turn around the corner, but then it moves a bit. But basically, yeah, it's south. And it starts with bigger stones over here. It's handy that the person is standing over here. So, over here, a couple of more people. It's always handy for a measurement. Okay, you can see how big the stones are.
Right. I wouldn't want to lift it.
But the first start off very big. And then, yeah, it's not exactly on the top of the hill. It's this is lower indeed. Yeah. Yeah, it's going down here. Yeah. Well, maybe you're right, Angel. It's almost the highest point. Yeah, yeah, it definitely goes up. You're right, Angel. It goes up.
What does that mean then?
Good observation.
It could be a surveillance point of some type, but it doesn't really look like you were designed to stand on the top there and like look over it to like judge things. And we also might find out that it
only this one maybe. Only this one maybe. You can stand on that one.
Possibly.
And it's also handy for a line of defense. If somebody's coming from the coast is behind those stones. So if body goes, most of the people, if they go from the sea, they first have those stones, and then you have the city. It's almost also, it could be used for a line of defense.
Yeah, if you had like hay, honestly, you had hay growing in there, or straw or something like that, and then people are barging through it, they'll be smacking into rocks, and here you are in a defense position where whoever's attacking from the north, if those cutouts are designed so you can see out, like look like one or two of them were, that could have been a place for defense. But it also could be a really cool art project, and it also, as we find more about it, my hope is that it's really some kind of communication. It's not just by art, it's something. It looks less functional
basically,
the more I look at it, and more communication.
Basically, the sea's over there. So if people would go to
the trees might not have been there though. The trees might not have been there when they built those.
Oh yeah, the trees could be put there afterwards. And also you can see this one is cut off by this building and this road. And over here, this is not a very big one, but you have some separations. Over here it's tough because this is the land, field, where they, over here it stops. Maybe it goes further in the woods. Yeah, and then, but this was strange. This one is going basically from the southwest to the northeast, and this one changed direction almost exactly from east to west.
Right.
So the angle here now, and this one is almost exactly to the north. Sorry. This one is almost exactly north-south. This one. Here you have the arrow north-south, and this is exactly north-south. Maybe off by a couple of inches.
Now
So that's,
as far as I know, we may actually be looking at a piece of this, kind of like the four blind men or the five blind men looking at the elephant, and it may be kind of like your wall that you were pointing out that stretched for hundreds of miles. These may be two pieces of a larger image.
yeah, because here it's still here it goes. I can see in the wood. Maybe it's also behind the bushes over here, but that's very hard to. Maybe I can see if I can actually see something in the woods. Not really.
Yeah, and if it's old enough, people could have cleared the land between its creation and now. So, we're looking at pieces of an elephant.
And also those trees, if I go back, you can see those trees are not that old. These are very young. Those are at the most 40 years old. At the most, because they are fast-growing pine trees. It's called a sea pine tree, and that is one of the fastest-growing pine trees in Europe. So they are not, at the most 40 years, but probably less. I also did a little bit of study about the trees, so there's always any in this.
Yeah, that does
time around.
Does help, but you don't find too many trees that are 800 plus years old.
Oh no.
Well, a bonsai tree.
Oh yeah, those are very old. Well, in Germany we have one tree in a city that is roughly 2,000 years old.
Wow.
But that's an exception, and basically the whole town is built around that tree as some sort of public thing. People visit that thing as an attraction because it's so old. Until
it's chemtrailed or something like that, they pollute the water that feeds it to death.
Mm-hmm.
It should last forever.
Mm-hmm.
And there's very little reason why plant life dies other than when you give it a bad environment to live in.
Yeah, you sent me something.
Patricia did. Go, Patricia.
Oh, I've just Artist, I've just sent you a picture of the Karnak stone. I don't know what year, but it's old army stock photo.
I can see.
And you'll be amazed.
Where did you put it?
It's in your messenger.
Because in the chat I can't see it. I only see the text on map, photo. Oh yeah, it's now here. Yeah.
Let me see if I can put it in here then. It won't let me do it in here.
I have it. Oh, that doesn't work. Oh yeah, now it works.
Let me see if I can copy the links then.
I have it already, no worries. I have this one. This is an old engraving of those stones. This is an old engraving of those stones. Yeah. Like they're supposed to look like in that time period when they didn't have pictures available.
Whoa.
But it is, of course, an artist impression, so you never know how true the impression is. Because sometimes they over-exaggerate in those pictures.
Yeah, it's what they wanted it to look like.
Maybe, yeah. So you know, that's why I never show drawings or etchings from an old period, because you have to be very careful with those. Because they are the artist impression. But you never know. Maybe it looked like this one time, that it was even bigger volume. So thanks for that, Patricia.
That's okay. I suppose it's a bit like Stonehenge then. They've built it how they wanted it to look like. It doesn't necessarily
This is an artist impression. So
Yeah.
you never know. This is what is. I get a lot of feedback from somebody.
Probably me.
It might be Patricia today.
Okay. Test 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Patricia. Sorry, Patricia. But it is an artist impression, so it could have been looking like that. You never know, but I basically go with old photos, like I showed that black and white photo. That was an older photo. That was one of the oldest photos I found, and that photo is from around 1950s. So not very old, but old enough to see that they were there for a long time of period. But it's interesting that those stones are lined up with that. I can show you one thing that also fits with the thing that Angel is going to talk about. Can you see this still, Karen and everybody? This is just a side note of how stones are.
Yeah, we can
Yes.
see it. We can see it.
There was a guy named James TB, very smart guy. And he says, it seems to me that some of the marks left on those stones in the monolithic sites were not made by covered chisels or stone pounders and hammers, as if being led to believe. They are an impression that the stone was softened first and then either pressed or scooped or molded into a shape. Obviously, I can prove that this is what happened, but you can't prove 100% how any of these marks were left. But basically what he shows here, if you have a spoon and you have a clay surface, a piece of clay, and you press in that clay, you get those shapes like this. Those look very much like the shape you have over here. This is in Peru. Most of them are in Peru. And if you go here, this is also in Peru. It almost looks like they had a device like this to get those shapes in those rocks. It's just a side note. Look, this is a square, like they press something in a piece of clay to get that shape. And because above here is repeated. Like they had a thing that it was shaped like this rectangle and pressed it in again, pressed it in again, pressed it in again to make those shapes. Maybe and here you can see a little bit of a line, so they maybe pressed over here, pressed with that same device over here to make a bigger rectangular. And also here it almost looks like they pressed into the stone like it was a piece of clay almost. Because if you know something about clay modeling, you know that you can do with a steel piece of shape. You can shape a piece of steel and basically press this into clay, and remove some. And you get the same kind of things here. You can almost see like they had the device to go over this. And you can see the shapes repeating. Also over here with the staircase a bit. And over here it looks like a repeating thing. like they scooped out or pressed out with the same kind of device in a row to make a line, and later on they smoothed it out. As you can see here, almost this looks like almost like a slide for kids going down. And this is some of these stones are almost as hard as granite. So with copper chisels, it's very hard to get these kind of straight lines. It's basically like I showed in the beginning. If you have a spoon and you press it on a piece of clay, you can also get these tracks. So here also you can see the alignment very clear. It's almost like they pressed a form into it, pressed it down, and then you get those shapes. Because here they are a bit rounded. You also get it with clay. If you press something in it, you get those round edges sometimes. This looks even more like they pressed in a piece of clay, and this is the hardness of granite, those stones, most of the stones. Here again you can see some pressing down. This one is very interesting. I have to investigate more about this picture because I have never seen this one before. This almost looks like a spaceship.
Wow. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
I have to research where this is actually from because I've never seen this one. And this is almost, look like they pressed here. It's almost like they pressed into clay, but this is a hard granite-like stone.
Well, all of these go back to the belief, I believe, that some of these were poured.
Also,
and molded. So,
yeah,
they were playing with them while they were still in their not solid state.
Yeah, that is exactly what I also thought. Yeah, that when you pour something, it's even if you pour a piece of metal, it has some time to actually harden. And
before it cures.
Yeah, and then you can even put in with an iron bit. You can press in that piece of liquid metal and also get this type of shape. So, indeed, with the pouring process, this could be done. Indeed, like you told.
I don't know if you've noticed it, but the Bosnian pyramid, I follow their press releases, their website, YouTube things, and they have in the past couple of months say they document, and I believe them much more than I believe NASA, that the rocks are fabricated. They're composite rocks, and they're quite confident of that belief. And I am confident of that belief as well, based on what I have learned of the Giza pyramid structure and how their tests have all come back to put egg on their face that the rocks are more poured than quarried. So it kind of puts into light the knowledge that centuries/eons ago, that the knowledge of how to pour some of these rocks and get a rock that is, nice and solid and hard, that isn't like the stuff we use today. The what do we like to use mostly? Carbon fiber and other composites, geopolymers. I mean, we use a lot of polymers and geopolymers, but I think we should learn from them. And but like history, the historians don't really want to rewrite all the textbooks, and they don't want to admit that we are not the smartest ducks on the planet. At least, well, we may currently be, although I think that there is still stuff for us to learn, and I also think that some of the things that there are for us to learn are being shunned from us learning, because it would give people the ability to have more independence and freedom, which is the last thing any government wants, is a bunch of free-thinking individuals. They want a bunch of stupid drones that follow orders.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you also look at the old structures and even the artifacts that are found in those locations are so skillfully made that you can clearly see that they had a very advanced technology and also skill to shape things. I can show you some things.
Medical devices?
Now things, artifacts they found in. This is Teotihuacan. It's basically those pyramids in Mexico. You probably know those.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the artifacts. This is in the state where they didn't excavate them. They were basically like those pyramids in China, covered with dirt and trees. Before they did the research, and you can see the bad state that they were in. Here they are starting to research the site. Basically, here they're still going on with researching and excavating those sites. You can see those big blocks lying all around, and more excavation nearby. And this is basically what they found on all the artifacts. And you can see this. This is very skillfully made. And also here you can see this is made from clay, probably, and it's very detailed. So they had very great skill in shaping things. This is a pipe you can smoke tobacco from. So they also had the knowledge that you could smoke tobacco, but they look how the craftsmanship is. It is very delicate and precise. Here's the other side of it. They also made pottery vases. And this is, I think, a bone, some kind of bone or something like that. They carved in it, so they had very precise skill to carve all those things. Here you have a couple of heads, so you can also see some alien heads they found. This one looks a little bit alien-like. This one. So and also again, like you have those stones in that wall in Peru. It almost looks like different type of races, because this one is a little bit browner, a little bit redder. They on purpose.
Those are people's heads then.
No, this is from these are from stone and clay.
Right, I was going to say.
But this one looks very alien, I like.
Okay.
If you see this one. And they depict all kinds of, if you can call it races, but all kinds of different people from different countries. They depicted this one is darker, this one is redder, more white, and they did it, you can see very on purpose, they colored the heads different colors. And this is what they used a lot. They tell you, this is obsidian tools. Obsidian is a tool you can shape things with, but not very hard things. This is also pieces of, I don't know if this is a replica of a real one, but it looks probably how those temples looked like when they were in their original state. This is basically a drawing. Looks very Mayan-like, but this civilization predates the Mayans by maybe a couple of thousands of years, who knows. And this is basically the layout. I think this is the Temple of the Moon. This is the Temple of the Sun. But they later, the Mayas give those structures their name. So the original name of those structures in pyramids in Mexico are not known. And over here you can see this is an elevation. This is higher up. Because this is a small plateau. And if you stand on this plateau and clap your hands, it starts to resonate like a circle form. Thus the sounds come back at you. So if you clap your hands with a couple of people, the sounds almost looks like it's amplified and multiplied, and then it comes back to you. In this, somebody also tested this, and you can see in the video, probably Brian Forster did one test, and he was clapping his hands with a couple of people, and you can clearly hear that the sound was being multiplied and even amplified and coming back. These are
Artists.
Yeah.
Artist, thank you so much for all your hard work.
So you can see, yeah, I'm trying my best. So you can see that all those things are sound resonant, they are magnetic. All those kind of things are in those structures.
I believe that particular structure you're looking at there, the main channel and some of the other main rocks are huge and of a granite that has a higher metal particulate in it. And from what I understand is a good rock for deflecting and or maintaining microwaves.
Yeah.
Not just, you know, the way it's set up. It is kind of, I think they were working with a wave, and I don't really want to speculate too much on what I think was happening there until I get more information. But the rock that was used within that large channel was a unique rock.
Yeah.
I forget the exact name of it, but that I've seen different videos and documentaries on how there's unique bits and pieces that all go to form the whole big picture.
Indeed, they chose the rock and the structure of the rock and the thickness even of the rocks very purposely. It was not an accident. The stones they used, they used certain, sometimes even the mines of those stones, they actually, when they excavated the stones, is sometimes 20 or 25 miles away. Because they want to have that particular kind of stone.
Yeah, no, I all of these structures are each has a lot of questions about them. They leave a lot of questions to be answered. The reason I picked primarily on the Giza pyramid is because it's plethora of videos and pictures, and you know, luckily people had done the research. Now with Google Maps and stuff, you can do a lot of it without physically going there. Luckily, other people doing the picture taken for you. But still, I don't think anything is quite as photographed as the Giza pyramid. Yeah, I love that picture. That oh, I never noticed how that one kind of falls off to the back.
Yeah, also behind that bigger one in the distance, there are two in a row. So it's almost, you have the big one in the distance, and behind that one, you have two pyramids, one very close to another one, like they built one, and they stopped and built another one because the first one wasn't good enough or something.
I had never noticed until I just now looking at this picture. All of those structures kind of fall off to the back.
Yeah.
They are not squared, because the drawings that people show of you, the drawings show them all as squared, but in reality, they're not.
No.
They have a front facade and they fall off to the back. I have always felt that that was kind of like an airport. And looking now at how it falls off to the back, it could be where like a Zeppelin or a dirigible, you know, was picking up and dropping people off, and that was like the landing pad.
It almost looks like landing pads, yeah. And if you hear, I pointed out, if you stand here, over here on this plateau, and you clap your hands, it's that you get that sound resonance, that it this amplifies the sound. If you play here an instrument, the sound gets amplified by the structures around it.
Wow.
And also multiplied. So if you clap your hand one time, you get it harder back and a harder sound. And you get maybe if you clap your hands one time, you get it 4 times back. I don't know the actual rate, but it's multiplied. These are again some things they found, like a flying a lizard type of thing.
This now that's a different. that picture you just had, that's a different location, right? In between them.
I don't know for sure. This one.
No. The one that looked go like that. That. Back before the blue one. That. That's a different location.
Yeah, near that. It's not very far from that. And that was what I'm talking about. That just not far away from that plateau I showed before. This one is situated. And you can see here is one built and just built another one in front of this. And the one in behind here has more detail. So it looks almost like this one behind is older. This is the size of it. Maybe I can find the picture. Oh yeah. This is what we showed before. And this is what you saw in that picture. So it's not very far.
I get it.
This one is so well.
So they are the same complex.
Yeah,
but
this picture is over here.
I get it.
So it's not that far away. This is basically that complex. This is called the Pyramid of the Moon. It is the sun, but those names were given by the Mayas, and the Mayas basically found this place because this place predates the Mayas. And the Mayas basically start to re-inhabit this place and use it for ceremonial purposes. This is also some wall paintings that are still there. They were covered by mud and everything, so you can see some of the drawings they did. I don't know for sure if those were done by the Mayas or actually the people that were before the Mayas. This is some explanation about it, but looks very spiritual. This is basically what they found beneath one of those pyramids. They did an excavation, I think about 2 or 4 years ago, and they found a passageways with all these kind of shells and some pottery, and this mask. This is I think this is an older picture of the site. Okay, here in the distance you can see those side by side. This construction, and then here you have that plateau. This way you can see here. This is an older photo. You clearly see that most of the structure was covered in dirt still. So this was not very far after they excavated everything. This is right now. This is the first picture again with the oldest one. But it's very interesting that all those structures are sound resonance. They resonate sound, all of them.
Well, somebody put a lot of time and effort into making them.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Just like the pyramids. It's very clear that they also put a lot of time and effort in making those pyramids. And they are also, some people say sound resonant and also magnetic and electric. So,
You know if there's a ley line that may pierce the that area?
No.
That's other things that more and more people are doing is carrying a little compass to play with those little energy areas, or at least see if they get reaction.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
Sometimes you can I have seen some videos that most of those structures are magnetic. You put a compass on them, the needle starts going in all kinds of direction except the direction it should be. So also in Pumapunka in Bolivia, on those pyramids in Mexico. I don't know for sure if the pyramids are magnetic in Egypt, but they probably are. If for sure, all those obelisk structures in Egypt are, if you hit them with your hand or with a rubber hammer, you can hear that obelisk giving an like a bell sound, boom, very heavy, and it carries on for a couple of seconds. So also the Egyptian had the knowledge of frequency and sound and shaping things, that if you hit them with something, they have a particular sound.
No, I agree. We are just learning what they knew.
Yeah. Now with the tools we have now, we just start to learn how these structures work exactly, and we can measure how precise the pyramids of I think the base of all the pyramids. If you have the base of the pyramid only in the ground level, that foundation is, I think, only off by a couple. By I think only 1 or 2 inches or something. That's the big base. Yeah.
It's a very, very small amount.
Yeah. And it's very hard even nowadays to get an get something that level. Even if you have a big structure like that, it's very hard to get that one level like that pyramid on the Giza, the pyramids on the Giza plateau.
Well, that's something they don't even really point out, is how level each elevation is. They like to point out how squared it is, but it is equally as uniform in its being level, which is really how I got onto this whole flat plane, is because I was talking with Anthony about how building the seventh, what I like to call building 7, the third largest structure and the first largest structure and the second structure, if they're all with pools of water around them, which one would be at what elevation? And that I was getting into the whole, like, well, going to be deviation because of the curvature. And he's like, you sure about that curvature? So that's what got me down that particular path.
Yeah, for sure, it would be indeed fascinating if the water level rose on those structures. How level the staircases would be related to another point on another pyramid. If actually how the water level is measured from pyramid to pyramid. How those measurements are probably very close if the water would rise on those structures.
Well, I believe, at least in the model I'm working with, is that each of them had a moat around them. The third largest had a shallow moat. The center pyramid had a little bit deeper moat, and the larger one had a pretty deep moat, like 35 to 40 feet coming up. Basically, each of them covered the entrances, with the exception of the middle pyramid. It covered one of its entrances, the bottom one, but the one that comes back out would actually short to the surface because it would be venting the electrons. But that's just, again, the model I'm working with. And if I can get it to make work, then I'm going to stick with that model because it works. But it is, I think they all work together in one big system. You can't just take the pyramid, at least the Giza pyramid, that one structure by itself. It will do a pretty waterfall, but then it kind of comes to you hit a brick wall with what to do from there. That's why I think the other 2 structures come into play. But either case, I'm babbling about that. What you're pointing out there, I think people should know more about the structures and really look at pictures, because like I was saying, I had never noticed that the back side of that particular structure falls off, because I had kind of always been looking at sketches and people's renderings of them, as opposed to which we're pointing out with that the etching. When people render an image, they make it how they want to show it to you, not how it is. And it's quite evident in that one picture that those edges came squared and then the dirt was behind it. So that was not where like some destruction. That is how it was engineered.
It looks like, because most of them have that dirt backside, only the front is actually very square and stone, and the backside is covered with dirt. And maybe that's is done on purpose. I think it looks very done on purpose to get that sound enhancement in those structures. Maybe that's why they built it like that, because they were so great of an engineer that I think nothing is done accidentally.
Well, the sound could have been important. It does also look like I say like an airport.
Oh yeah, for sure. Even those bigger ones, the Sun and Moon Pyramid.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can easily get a chopper on those two bigger pyramids. You can easily get one or two choppers on there, because they are very big.
I'm thinking Zeppelins, or
Oh
something a little bit more robust than a hot air balloon. Something they had more control of. For all I know, they had flying saucers. I'm not going to dismiss it, but I really feel they had the knowledge of hydrogen, and I'm thinking they had the knowledge of helium, but I haven't quite, narrowed that down. But either way, you could use hydrogen as long as you don't, light too many matches. We used hydrogen to send many a Zeppelin back and forth across the ocean until we decided to go with helium after blowing one or two up.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Hey, indeed, you're
That's the first I've heard airports.
You never looked at that? I've always kind of felt that way about that particular one. The way it's set up, the way their staircases go up. I never noticed the back side was, that kind of makes me feel that way more, because if you're going to land like a Zeppelin or something like that, you're going to land it to one side and the people are going to come up. You want to make the front side look good. You go to a bus stop or a train stop where the people are, it looks all nice with the handrails and stuff, but the side the train is on, in the tracks, from that side, it doesn't have to look nice and pretty. That's the functional side, not the bling bling side. So if they had Zeppelins or something landing there, nose up to it, that would be the entrance way. You could go up the stairs, board the craft, boom, takes it away. Next craft comes in, a type of a setup. And the other one could have been for a larger or different craft. One of them could be for terrestrial travel, short distance, like taxi cabs. And the larger one could have been for heavy lifting and freight. Who knows? It's just my working guess. But
Angel, I'm asking the chat room, what do they feel?
Angel, And I found that site on Google Maps, and you can clearly see that those ones are.
Yeah, they have a front facade and the back is kind of open. So you could bring a Zeppelin or something nose first in there, or some other vehicle.
Yeah.
Brendan says military base. Patricia says sounds plausible. Another Patricia in the chat room. Tunnels went from the pyramids to the river.
Look, and every one of them has one in the middle, like a square, and then a plateau in the middle, because you have a staircase. You can go up the staircase. Maybe I can. Oh yeah. Yeah. You can go up this staircase and you have a platform, and then you can walk up. So this is in front of there.
I love those 360 cameras, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, that they are amazing. You can actually see more.
We only see your icon, artist.
Oh yeah.
I can see everything.
See his icon.
I can.
3%.
3%. Okay.
Yeah, if it helps, I can see everything, but just because I can doesn't mean everybody else can.
No, let's do it again. We always have some type of technical problem. And now, how about now? Is it now showing? Let's see in the chat if I can actually see it. Oh yeah, in the chat it's also my icon. For some strange reason. And now?
Icon.
In the chat I can see the picture now. Well, if you go to YouTube, you can see the picture. Is it now showing or not?
Oh, it is now. Yeah, it's showing now.
Okay. And sometimes it takes a while. But indeed, I love those 360 cameras because you can pinpoint your. This one doesn't have a lot of them. Okay, yeah. Or maybe can set one on top of it. It's also. Let's see if it works.
Oh, they let people climb out.
Yeah, that's still allowed.
Oh,
it's still allowed.
Find you, about pyramids by Robert Kidner in Mexico. He goes to pyramids quite often, and on my channel I've got a little video of his, or part of it. Do you want me to find that video for you? Maybe I'll do it for next week. I'll find you the video that he's made.
Okay, I can play it after this one. I'm okay with that. No problem.
Okay, I have to just find it. Okay, I'm just going to mute myself while I.
Yeah, then I can show you some more pictures for everybody to see. It's always fun to see some pictures. If I can actually put it on top this time. You're standing on top. So yeah, you could easily get a hot air balloon on this angel. Or something like a zeppelin.
Is that a pile of rock in the center and the rest of it is smooth? Or is that just...
Oh, well, there's these things you can see on top, they put on this structure later on. Said enough. So they basically made a mess of it.
They don't leave anything alone.
No, those rocks were placed. You can see this we've done very poorly. But under this, I think maybe I can find that pyramid over there. That one is still in the original state. And they messed this one up with smaller stones on them to repair them. Yeah, sure. Basically, they almost destroyed it.
It's the way the king would have wanted it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm surprised that you can actually put this one over here. So that one is the bigger blocks. You can see big blocks, and this is repairment by the Mayas. The Mayas repaired it with smaller stones because the Mayas use smaller stones in their structure. And you can see this in, but here you can see big. You know, maybe you can zoom in a bit.
Now that one looks like damage.
This is damage, and they repaired it. You can see because these are big blocks, and all of a sudden, over here it becomes smaller stones. See, they repaired it. Here are still some stones. They don't put in place. They are just loose stones like this. But the original stones, this is how it looks original, all of them, with those bigger stones. Can you see that, Angel?
Yeah, I see it.
So this is what it originally looks like. Also with those heads on them.
Yeah.
So this is this is like I have now in the picture. This is how it originally looked.
Now each one of those heads is like the size of a person, right?
Easily.
They're pretty big heads.
Yeah. Yeah, because here you see somebody, and this person is closer to the camera because this is there's a distance between it. So that person is almost as big as this head. That size. Maybe I can find another picture on top of there. There's one on top of here. Oh no, that's a fake one. It's not on top of there. Sometimes.
Yeah, I've had it.
I'm gonna go. Let's try that again. Nope. Because I found it strange because you're not on this one. You're not allowed. So the most interesting one you're not allowed. It's fenced off, like you could see.
Well, it does look like after you get about 3/4 of the way up, it looks like dirt and rubble. So if you did try to climb up there, I don't think you're going to get very far.
Oh, this is a better one. Look, it's fenced off.
You'd have to go like climbing up there because it's all dirt and rubble.
Mm-hmm. This is actually a picture with more sun, so you can see the blocks. Look, those blocks are far bigger. Look, this person, yeah. You can see the craftsmanship, how detailed this is. And also, you can see here is still some coloring a bit. It looks a little bit more red. So probably there was even color because this is what a little bit whiter. So maybe one time it had even color on it. But this is what it looked like, and this is what the Maya people did with the repair. You can see this is repaired. They even put one of the heads back in, but it's all repaired. And those stones are just basically stones that are not put in place yet. They don't know what to do with them. You can see, oh, this one is broken off. This one is still also not in its place. And here they put a small part in. So basically all those structures are rebuilt or repatched with smaller stones. And then this one is...
When you look at that, it either looks like somebody took a dump truck of rocks and dumped it on it.
Yeah.
Or somehow the top of the structure became boulderified. Kind of like how the trade centers became dustified. Because how would you get a lot of rubble on top of the structure? It's not like there would have been an explosion and all of a sudden the large rocks turned into rubble. So there's something unique about that damage.
Yeah. Indeed. Yeah, and this is done later. You can clearly see that this is it's not great craftsmanship. It's basically just cement and they pressed in stones. Here you can see on the edge it's still the original. But this was one time it was all like the bigger stones on the edge here. This is the original stone. I was supposed to look. I was supposed to look.
It's amazing what we can see. What we're.
Yeah, it's very handy. That's also in line with that big mountain behind it. Can you see that? Here,
Yeah.
a big mountain. It is almost exactly. You have one mountain and maybe one behind it, and it's almost like they duplicate that in front of it. Look, a chemtail free sky, no planes. Oh, they're over here. They have. Not a lot of planes in the sky, probably, at this day. Yeah, I just noticed that those mountains in the back were lining up with those. Yeah. Oh, that's a big mountain, and they almost line up with this. Yeah. Oh, cool. So this is basically, I have to find out more about this site, but yeah, and it's still allowed to get on the structure. I don't know if this one you can go all the way to the top, but I think you can. I can put a. Look here, over here. Yeah. Look, you can see different type of stones. Oh, this one is fenced off here.
So you just climb over the fence and have the guy climb up there.
Yeah, run over here and then get down on the backside. Oh yeah, you can see the sun is very nearby. See the angle of those rays going all the way there. Hope you can catch that. See, the rays are also going up of the sun and going down on a triangular shape. Can you see that, Angel?
Yeah.
we get that one for free. That's cool. Look, this one is on an angle. This one is traced down on an angle. That's a good picture. You get 2 for 1. An ancient structure and
only a mirage.
Yeah, yeah. And this is also a mirage. Look. Yeah. Cool that they. This is a laid out plan. This is basically some housing structures. Can you also go over there? Yeah. Yes, you can. I never did this one before. Oh, look. Ooh. Always look to the ground because it's all sometimes very fascinating. I never watched. Why is there one over here? Oh, that's higher up. Oh, this is basically the late. Oh, this is the ruins of the city close by those structures. Okay. These are newly made, but this is old. Even back in that day, they have things for wheelchairs. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I was noticing that.
Look how advanced they were, even wheelchairs. Well, it's very nice that they make everything wheelchair accessible these days. Yeah. So even though people in a wheelchair can access these
It
sites.
did look like they put a superstructure over the steps, so at least they didn't damage the structure. They didn't like pour concrete or something.
No. But it looks like they put something over it here.
Yeah, it's a ramp. It looks like, you know,
Yeah.
some wood. You can see how it's extended on the side and then it turns and goes back down. You know, I hate to see where they actually damage these structures so that later somebody comes back at it and they're like, well, how did it used to look like? I don't know. We bulldozed it and poured some cement. And, you know.
Oh yeah, they messed up a lot of sites with what they call repairs. But the alignment of this structure is not exactly north-south.
Now
Think it's
some of those are actually fully squared, and some of them are open to the back. Like I'm saying, I think some of them would have been smaller zeppelins or smaller craft, and some of them would have been for accommodating larger craft. Just like at an airport, you have where, you know, your 737s can pull up, and you have where your 767s can pull up.
Oh yeah, and this almost looks like an airport, eh? With the landing strip.
Well, I don't know if that. I think that was the channel where they maybe the causeway for people to walk. But the way I see it, the ships would have come in from the side, from outside of the square, and the people would come in from the courtyard and
Oh, yeah.
port.
Mhm.
I do believe that they had the art of flight because you've seen the artifacts that look like airplanes. But
Oh,
for
yeah.
that to have been a runway, it wouldn't have had a runway that led to a stairs. You know, the thing
Yeah,
that
you're right.
stairs would be where your pedestrians go.
But it's for navigation. This is of course very handy. If you are high up in the air, you can clearly see it.
Yeah.
And I think it's off because the north. It's now exactly to the north, and it's just a bit off to the north and south. So the alignment on the north, the south pad is just a bit off.
Which is semi-unusual for your monolithic structures.
And most of the time they are lined up perfectly north-south, but this one is off. There's also one in Peru that is almost the same way off. There's almost the same degree. I don't know exactly which degree, but it's exactly just a little bit to the east, like this. Very interesting.
I agree.
You never know if it was done on purpose. Maybe I can place. Oh yeah, it's also just on the back side of this structure. This is also interesting because nobody ever looks on the back side of a structure. Oh yeah. Okay. That's why I always encourage everybody to find as much pictures to what I'm doing. Just go to the backside of a structure and investigate how it looks from that side. If it's possible like this.
Right. Playing with the 3D pictures and stuff is how on the Giza Plateau I found that one what I kind of refer to as the pump room off to the side of the Great Giza Pyramid I was showing you, how you have the structure inside of it. You know what I'm talking about? If not, I can direct you to it again.
Oh yeah, of course. So show it with the pictures always is always good.
Yeah, just because I spent days just using the Google guide, just walking around the plateau, looking right and left, and just I can't afford right now to go there. So to be able to do it vicariously, the Google guy really helps, and to get
for sure,
a true image of what you're looking at. So when now that I've seen that the back of those structures are cut out like that, or at least some of them, that's something I'm not going to forget. Where even if I see it in a sketch, I'll look at it and say, well, I know that sketch is wrong.
Yep.
That's where the pictures are so much better than the sketches and drawings and even the stories, because a story will say things that your eyes will catch, but the story won't say.
Indeed. And then that's what I also do. I go if I have if it's possible on Google Maps, I go around every structure again and again and again. Look up, look down, because sometimes if you look down, especially with near the pyramids, you can see sometimes on the ground also shapes of things there.
You can see where something would have stopped, where there was a structure, where there's a solid base. There's spots where there are boulders that kind of stick up out, where there could have been a superstructure on top of it. You get your own eyes on it. That's really the best thing. Do it before we lose it, the internet.
Yep. Indeed.
I wish there was a way to suck all these photos down so they don't go away.
Yeah, that would be handy if you could actually download those views. Yeah. Also, yeah. Sometimes you get newer views of a structure, and then sometimes the newer views are worse than the older views.
Yeah, they have certain things blurred out, or there's a cut between the two images, right, where you're trying to see something.
Yeah. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, sometimes you think, oh, they made a new photo and it's worse as the previous one. It's also fascinating that they have here again stairs going up, and then.
Yeah. Now they don't look like they go all the way up.
No. Only till this.
Well, they look like they go a third of the way up, or 2/3 of the way up that one course. So you can't even go up to the next course.
No. And you never know if it's crumbled down, because here it looks like it went up to this piece. Because
yeah, that does look like there was damage.
Yeah. But what an effort to actually build this. My God.
Found some videos, by the way.
Sorry?
Yeah, because I put them in.
Okay, cool, Karen. Play them.
Put them in there, but I don't have the best bandwidth, do I?
I don't know. Does it have sound or something or not?
Yeah, they have sound. Do you want to just play a couple of those, artists? You're the best one at the moment to play them because you're playing okay.
Yeah, but I don't. I don't have sound with them.
Right. Shall I have a go then
That's the problem.
and see what happens?
Yeah,
It sometimes hangs.
Maybe Angel can show. Yeah.
I can try.
Yeah.
Go on. There's 3 there.
All right, give me a second here. Let me...
Can always give you a musical interlude.
Thank you, artist.
Yeah, just to feel some time.
Yeah. Just make sure, Angel, you don't put the link of the Hangout out.
Oh yeah.
Tell me I'm not showing the wrong thing, because I did application share like you guys were talking about.
Cool, but you're showing the Hangout right now. You need to put the Hangout down. There's nothing.
How about that?
Just see your icon.
Can you hear sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only no picture at the moment.
No picture. Let me go back and try it again. Any picture yet?
Icon.
I'm still presenting to everyone, Karen. So
Yeah, but I can see. I can only see. I'll just present him, but I can just see his icon.
Okay.
Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Let me try. I'll try something here. Okay. You guys can't see what I'm trying to present.
No, we only hear the sound at the
Oh,
moment.
then it's just that my computer hangs a bit. Let me just have a go then. But I'll yeah. Second, and I'll have a go at presenting it. I just hope that it plays.
Maybe you can figure it out.
Yeah, I'm doing it now. I'm just going to do it, but I just hope that it doesn't lag when I'm playing it. I'll have a go. Hang on.
Okay.
Just getting it up. Let me just. Yeah. Oh, who's that?
Yeah, I think you got it now.
I do?
Yeah, you've got it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can see. Hey, now I can see
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Except, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's cool.
Only the sound is very soft. Okay, now.
Maybe the weird music sounded a little bit weird there, but Robert said some of the pyramids did give out really funny vibes, and he got the feeling that they were slaughtering people at those ones, and the others didn't. Some of them had much better vibes.
Okay, you want to unshare me so I can click back to the other thing without revealing the secret ninja code?
Okay. I'll just click on artist for a second.
That's okay.
Yeah, there's a few more if you want to play them, or we can just. I
will, but I don't want to click on the thing to get the link without. I'm not. I don't want to reveal the.
And this is Robert, who lives in Mexico, who went through the earthquake the other day. That's on Sun and Moon Channel. He lives in Mexico, and obviously he said that there's a load of pyramids that aren't even they're on private land and they're not even registered.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't think about that, do you? With pyramids being on.
No, because I typed in the name what's under the video. The Nictlanticusi, whatever it is. And I never can find these pictures, so it's very hard to actually get pictures from that structure.
Trying to see if I can share one while Angel's getting that ready. Shall I see if it works on my computer?
Well, you can. I should have one ready, and I think I'm sharing properly.
Oh.
No, maybe not. I see the wrong thing on the screen. B9.
I'll get my mouth half ready again.
Hang on, I'm trying.
Oh, it's already there. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, turn down the music.
Oh, I've got one here, but it's from another video. It's not the whole thing.
Okay.
The whole thing, I can't find which video it is, but it's about 15-20 minutes long. But I used this video in another video I made. So should I just try and play it? It's only a couple of minutes long. I'll have a go. Is it going to work? Come on. Right, that's it. Right, now just press play. Might have missed the name of it, sorry. What he's saying is it's flat for as far as you can see. Miles and miles of it. Playing it very well, is it?
Hello everyone, this is the tech lab.
That's part of the other video, so I better stop.
Yeah, and also it was showing very small in the Hangout.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? I'm sorry. Well, let's get rid of it because I haven't got that very well. Let's get rid of that one.
Well, I've got something else. Maybe that's just interesting because it's not one with sound acquired with it. It's basically an aerial drone flight with an HD camera over the pyramids in China. Interesting.
Go on then, artist. I didn't do that very well, did I?
Well, you tried your best. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's not your fault, Karen. It's YouTube fault. Give us more bandwidth. Give us better computers that actually work. Sorry, I had to say that. So. Because sometimes you get a little bit frustrated by that everything is playing so slow. Okay, let's see if this works. Let's hope. Can you see something from? Does that work or not?
Yeah, that's happening.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'm going to play it because it's not the sound acquired, and this basically aerial footage of the pyramids in China. So you can see this is those pyramids in China, and they took several flights to get as sharp as a view of those pyramids, because most of the pyramids you're not allowed to get nearby. So this was done all illegally to show the people who what those that they are actually real pyramids. You can see some of the constructions in them. You see some stones. And I think this is I think in my what have I investigated, one of the only you can see it fenced off for the public. And this guy
I've seen this one before.
Great footage of with the drone. So this is one of the best footages we have of those pyramids in China. I think actually one is allowed to walk on and the rest is not.
I didn't realize they were so physically close to each other.
Yeah, some of there are more than this. And some of them are so close to each other like this indeed. Too bad it was a little bit of a hazy. It became a little bit more hazy that day. But it's as far as I know, the only footage of those pyramid structures this close. You can see they has done it or early in the morning or late at just before the sunset, or it was a very hazy day. But I think the capturing of these pyramids in China is very well done. It's the only thing, the only person who did capture it like this. Most photos of these structures on the internet are from a distance. Actually, on the right, you can see probably the person who is navigating the drone. Oh, it went black. That was the video. I hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one before.
Yeah, that is the one of the only flights with a drone above the pyramids in China.
Did you have one to play then, Angel, or is that the one you were playing?
It's one of the ones you picked out.
Okay, then we'll go over to Angel. There you go, Angel. They look like different stones, don't they?
great thing that he filmed all those artifacts, because often they are very hard to find the pictures of those artifacts on the internet.
Well, there's two things I'd like to say. First of all, last week, after the earthquake, him and his wife reckoned that all the pyramids would still be standing. That the only thing that, if they were going to last through the earthquakes, all the pyramids would still be standing the way they were, because they were built much better than anything they had.
Yeah, for sure.
Some of the stones look different, don't they, in his pictures, unless it's just me.
Oh yeah. Sometimes it even difference when you get a shot of an ancient structure when it's actually a cloudy day or a sunny day. That makes a whole lot of difference sometimes. That's why I always get a lot of pictures from the same structure to actually investigate that what I'm looking at in a certain picture is actually correct. So that's why if I investigate a site, I try to get as much pictures as possible to make sure that I'm on the right track.
But the stones look quite different in those ones that we've been looking at there, don't they?
Yeah, just a bit. They look a bit different. Yeah. It could be caused by the camera I used. It could be the lighting. You never know.
Looked like some of them were colorized, like he added color to them.
Yeah, or he had some kind of filter on his camera. Sometimes you have those UV filters. I have them also on my camera to prevent the glaring a bit. Sometimes some cheaper UV filters will give a certain type of hue to photos. So it could be that.
Okay, it's over.
Oh, well.
Nice.
Robert might come on the hangout tonight, but considering that they've been through what they've been through, he's probably, yeah, it's just one of those things. He might not want to come on with the way he feels, really, with what happened last week, being in the middle of the earthquake.
Yeah, I understand. But we got his video, so that's also great. Yeah, thanks, Angel.
Well,
no problem.
To the hangout, Angel was talking. Do you want to talk about some of that again? Because it was very interesting, even if it's not quite pyramids and stuff.
Oh, with the laser, yeah. That one or not?
Yeah.
That they point. They are trying to point a laser to actually measure the flat Earth or something.
Oh, Jeranism's experiment that he's doing.
Yeah, you were talking about it before we came.
There's a spot in like mid to northern California where they have a stretch of still water that's it's about 4 miles long, and they're going to use about 3 miles of the area to do an experiment where they're going to measure a flat, level, plane line across the land and compare it to the water right next to it. Water does or does not have this curve that it takes while it's crossing the surface of our planet or plane or whatever, the Earth. And it's going to kind of be a do or die situation. It's either going to show something or it's not. I think it's going to not show any curvature, but you know, I wonder if there's somebody in Vegas has odds on it yet. They have odds on everything else. I should check into that. That would be kind of a cool thing, betting on the curve.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
Because then when they actually release it, either Vegas would have to say, well, yes, there was evidence of a curve, or no, there wasn't. And then what are they going to do?
yeah, that would be great. And also when, then it would get a lot of coverage. That's also important.
I'm actually thinking I got a friend in Vegas. Maybe I should ask her if she can go down to one of the things and, you know, because you're allowed to bet on anything, right? You know, hey, you're doing an experiment. I want to bet that it's going to show the curve or not show the curve. Just to,
it would also be funny to actually see how many people would bet it for being a ball and how many people would bet for being it a curve. You know, it also would say something.
That, and because it would be in a if it was actually got on to be bookies things, they would have to have a representative from the betting commission or whatever it is there to show the results, to clarify them, document them, whatever you technically say. Certify. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. So it would kind of be where somebody's going to sit there and say, like, it's really flat. I have to put this on paper. What am I going to tell my kids?
You have to start all over again.
I think that's actually a cool idea. I'm gonna see what I can do about nudging somebody to see if they'll take that bet. Because technically, like they said, they'll take a bet on anything.
Oh yeah, and that is a bet that the outcome is very interesting. So there will be probably a lot of people who like to bet on such a thing.
Yeah, you're not risking somebody's life, and you're not doing anything illegal. So that would, I think, that would be a bet that they could take in Vegas.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Huh. Got me thinking on that one. Anyway,
that's why this group is so great. We can brainstorm and do research live as we go, and we sometimes get to a point that we think, well, I never thought of this. That's why I like these hangouts.
His experiment that he's doing on the 3 mile stretch is to have, I think it's about 5 or 7 4x4 pieces of wood that they're going to drill a hole through. They're going to point a laser across, drill holes, and follow the laser across through the holes. And they're going to use one of those theodolites from the other side of the waterway to make sure everything is level. And, they're going to have professional surveyor there to say, yeah, everything is level, or no, it isn't level, or explain what they're doing. They'll probably be looking over his shoulder, asking him a million questions, as they're doing the work. But I really hope he lays lots of footage as far as video recording. Of course, it's
oh yeah. Have a couple of cameras ready to get it from every angle.
The cost of film is nothing. Just have a dozen things going. I think it's going to be a pretty telltale moment, and that he's doing it in the open, and they took out the skeptics that say because of the refraction of the light right above the waterway. They're actually doing it on a roadway right next to the waterway, so they can use the elevation, the deviation between the waterway and the roadway as their benchmark. And you know, they're doing it. He's crossed a lot of T's and dotted a lot of I's to make sure that every objection that people have had in the past is kind of being covered. And you know, I think it's a really cool thing. I just wish it was a little bit closer to me so I could, you know, lend a shovel or something. But it is what it is. And I'm gonna.
Well, you know what wouldn't surprise me? If actually on that day, just before that, they would do a road construction or something to prevent it.
Repave the road and say like, oh, you know, we're paving the road. Sorry, it's closed.
Yeah,
you can't.
That kind of a thing.
Well, luckily the location is not going to go anywhere. So as long as they don't deem it a national hazard or safety thing or UN heritage site, sorry, no humans allowed, then it'll happen. But,
yeah, for sure.
That'll be the other thing I believe that they're going to do is take two lasers and point them at each other. And technically on a curve, you'd have where the lasers would cross and then one would go above the other. But they're probably going to be pointing directly at each other. And, you know.
Yeah, with the GPS, you can pinpoint that very precise, of course.
Yeah, we have a lot more technology at our hand to prove or disprove this heliocentric model, where, you know, two decades ago, the average layperson would not have access to a laser, let alone a laser that could be battery powered and carried by hand. Wouldn't have access to, you know, the stuff that we have access to nowadays.
I would say that since we've last been here last week, Artis has been going mad on research, and he's found out loads of stuff through looking up on the internet and coming across this site with all these papers in it and documents. What was it? 1960 something. NASA was saying that the Earth was flat, and then they changed it into a ball.
Yeah, you have some documents that from NASA, and they basically start their calculation with a flat Earth. And if they have calculated the flat Earth, then they calculate it on a curvature. So that is telling something. Why should you first take measurements from a flat plane and then later on make the calculations for a curvature? I showed that in the last video with Mark Sargent in it. You can rewatch that one. And then I basically showed the documents, and I also sent all the documents to Mark Sargent. So more people have them. The more people have them on their computer, the better, of course. I also sent them to Karen. I sent them to a lot of other people I know, so that a lot of people have those links and things on their computers. And I also downloaded.
I was just saying, you found out that basically that this thing about electric cars had gone on to the 1920s, and it seems probably that the First and Second World War ruined it.
Yeah, because the electric cars in America and probably other countries. What I can find out about the latest electric car from 1898 was going till around 1933. So after 1933, something happened that the electric cars were put aside and that the gasoline cars were put in their place. So that's very interesting.
And not just that, in the 1900s, if you were caught saying that we were a ball, you could be put in prison. I mean, sorry, ball, that's right, get it right. If you said that we were a ball, you were put in prison.
It was in the law in that time of period. I did some investigation. And then I think it was an English newspaper, so probably it was in the English in Great Britain law that if you thought about a ball earth at school, you were put in prison or get a heavy fine, because it was still in the law that it was not allowed to teach that at the school.
Yeah, so it's things that people don't know.
That's why I always encourage everybody, do your research, try to find as much articles on a certain topic, and then you can find the truth about certain things. And investigating, you can see that some things are purposely hidden from you, or they try to hide it as much as possible. Also, what I'm still trying to find an article. A friend of mine, an old friend of mine, basically witnessed himself and somebody was building in the early 1960s a water-fueled cell car and boat. So you could drive a boat and a car on water, basically tap water, and that was in the early 1960s. And someone that I know is about 80 years old now, witnessed that demonstration himself back then. Only I'm trying to find actually newspapers about that subject, that there was already a water fuel powered car in the early 60s. I know there was a guy that had one in the early 80s, and he was killed. And the story about that guy who had that car in the early 60s, what I know, and I tried to find some evidence for it, but the guy basically told me that he had that guy invented a water fuel powered car and boat. He wanted to get a patent for that. He got a patent. Shortly after that, Shell visited that guy, and he basically, what I'm told, I don't know if it's exactly like that, but what I'm told is that Shell paid him off to turn on in all his papers, and they paid him, I think, $2 or $3 million. And then that guy went to France to live over there, and he was given another name, and it was all arranged by Shell, and he had to sell his invention to Shell, or he got in trouble basically, but he was smart. In his opinion, he did a smart thing to turn in his invention to Shell, that Shell had all the documents and all the stuff he had, and then basically he was paid about 2-3 million, and he lived his life till an old age in France. I have to get some evidence for that. I still have found it, but that's just a story that I heard from a very reliable source who witnessed that demonstration of that water-fueled cell power car in the 60s himself. So.
Yeah, and we wouldn't know if artists hadn't looked all that stuff up.
Yeah, and if you know certain people, it's always handy. If you actually have a witness who saw the whole thing.
Yeah, well, no one seems to remember any of this stuff, do they?
Only if they are old. That guy that I know is about 88 now, so he's a very old man. And he saw it in the 60s.
Or they have to be inquisitive children that will read history books and look at pictures and stuff that aren't the ones taught in school, because the ones taught in school, they don't take the time to even tell you about this stuff, because it's out of sight, out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it was law in the 1900s that if you said we were a globe, you were put in prison. So what the hell happened between then? Everybody thinks it's 400 or 500 years ago that we were told this stuff, but we weren't.
Yeah. I found something else, Karen, if you can see it. Can you see this?
I have. Yeah, I've put it on.
I just checked it to make sure that Detroit Electric Car Company, that was one of the bigger car companies, was there in from 1907 till 1939. So basically, that was just before the Second World War. So indeed, the Second World War, after that, most electric cars companies disappeared. They tried to do it again in 2008, but it's not successful at this moment. And it still, it probably still exists. But it's strange that indeed just before the Second World War they stopped making cars. It's very interesting indeed. Because the same time period they stopped for a short period about talking about the flat Earth also. So probably they needed a war to get rid of some evidence they didn't like. Who knows?
Oh, have you finished playing it then? Okay.
No, I was just showing the article of the Detroit Electric Company that it was stopped in 1939.
It's almost like, you know, when you look, someone said the other day, oh yeah, we had electric milk floats. It's like, oh yeah, I remember them. It's like we've forgotten about this stuff. It's like we've forgotten it. It's like some people are a bit...
because you never are reminded of it. They try to...
Yeah, it's like this whole life, even so many years ago, has been erased. I think something happened in the 60s when televisions came out. Do you think that's when it was?
Of course, no television were there, slowly getting there after the Second World War. The television was going up. More people could buy a television shortly after the war. Around the 1950s, it started going up. And of course,
space.
And of course, indeed, the big propaganda tool in the TV to try to get their message that they like to put out there across.
Yeah. It just seems incredible that there's all this stuff and they've promoted something completely different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. That's why
I just find it really incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you, artists, when you're looking at all that stuff and there it all was, but oh, that's not what we're shown. That's not what we're reminded of.
No.
Paul's been here for 400 years. It did.
Yeah.
It hasn't. It wasn't.
It's also what people, some people tell the same thing that somebody else is telling. They don't do their own investigation. They just copy something that they heard. Because most of the people always say, yeah, the globe Earth was about 300 years ago. People started believing that the Earth was a globe. No, it's much shorter. It was probably just after the Second World War, or just after the First World War. Then they needed 2 wars to exactly erase the flat Earth knowledge and put the globe in place. That's his huge possibility that they did it like that.
Anything else to show us, Artis? Anything else to show us?
I'll show you. Yeah, I have to. Just wait a second. I have to. Where's everything?
Angel, what do you think about that then? Or has Angel gone to the phone or something? Because I think I heard a phone ringing.
Could be. Yeah, basically, they lie, or they hide information. That is what they do, and they don't provide all the information to us. Just a certain bit they want to put out, because it's in their interest to put it out. But there are a lot of documents about that the Earth was not a globe. I think I found one here. Can you see this, Karen?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Oh, look at that.
That's one of the many documents you can find on that Archive site, archive.org. Very, very easy to remember. This was basically in 1865, and they have proving it's a plane. The Earth is not a globe, so, and it's a document with all kinds of information in it. Basically, you can. This is the section. I think it has some drawings and even calculations in it. How you can measure that the Earth is a flat plane, like this. Basically, they already give examples like we are giving now, that the Earth is a flat plane. So that is very interesting. This is just one of the many articles that I've found. There are a lot more. I have found another one, even with a nice American flag on it. It also has the knowledge that Earth is not a globe. And there are many, many books written about that. Here's also one. The Alignment of the Earth. This book contains proof that the Earth is flat and stationary, while the sun and the moon and stars are in a contained motion.
Oh, they've made us believe that there's nothing out there to ever say
that. The first one was from 1968, I believe, and this is from 1912. So this is when the electric cars were around. This was published, and it's you can download this PDF from that site, and you can browse to those books. Basically, they scanned in on high resolution all of those books. And you can read them, and some of them have pictures in them, like this. How actually it all works, and you have to bear in mind that they didn't have computer, and so they have to measure everything by hand. Probably this is in the Library of Congress, if it's still there, because sometimes they steal these kind of books. It's done. I've did some research, and a lot of these books are stolen from the library because some people don't want us to see these kind of books. I also had one with the proofs of the 100 proofs of that the Earth is actually not a globe. I have to search for that one. But I have more. This is, This is not a good. I'm going to show another one. This is not a good model, but it shows that people were researching it. That's the important thing. And this one is from 1966, I believe. Yeah, 1966. The plain truth: the Earth is not a globe for those who have eyes to see, because you have to have real eyes to realize the truth. Yeah, indeed. February 1966. So this is another one. So there were a lot of articles about the flat Earth all around. You can research it. This one is that I found that news article that basically states that the Earth, you could be sent to jail. I'm going to show that in a minute. Just hang on for a second. There's the hangout. Oh, over here. Okay. This is, can you see it, Karen?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, cool. It's nice to see that it works. Good. Now I've selected everything. Yep. Put up the text. This is from the Cook County Herald from 1900, April the 22nd. I will blow it up as big as possible so you can see it. Can you see the text? Says the Earth is round and he may be thrown into prison. And that is stating that the teacher was teaching about globe Earth at school. And some parents were very upset about that fact because they knew that there was a lie. And basically they did a court case against that teacher because he was teaching about the globe Earth. And in the law there was still a section that talked about that if you talked about the globe Earth, talked about the globe Earth at school as a teaching, as a teacher, you could be sent to jail or get a heavy fine. So this is also some proof that there was still talked about the flat Earth, and you have a lot of magazines and articles about it. And I think they are very important for everybody to see that the Earth is... basically, they knew that the Earth was a flat Earth all along. And after the Second World War, they tried to push the globe Earth as much as possible.
Yeah, this push has only happened in the last so many years. That just still really shocks me. I think I keep repeating the same thing. I just can't get over how, you know, our lifetime we've grown up being told all this stuff, and it's just not true. None of it.
It's not true indeed, because there was even a Flat Earth magazine. I think you can see it over here, and this is from 1981. I hope is it showing, Karen?
Yep, it's showing.
Sometimes it takes a couple of seconds. Is it showing or not?
Yes, it's showing.
I can't hear you at the moment.
Yes, it's showing.
Okay. I have a little bit of lag, so they probably are trying to shut us down again. Don't show the truth, please. Because this is the truth. You can clearly see that this was in 1981. They had a whole, some sort of a magazine talking about all kinds of things of the flat Earth. Also some Bible verses relating to that. And it was like a small magazine. And again, you have another one that I can show. That was one that one I already showed before. And it was basically a magazine that ran from 1976 till 1990 or 1988. I will show the other one real quick. I hope this is the right one. Yeah, and this was one of the first ones of the Flat Earth News. And it was done by this guy, Charles K. Johnson, the president. and his wife helped him make this Flat Earth magazine. You could also subscribe to it, if I'm correct. And it basically tells about all the Flat Earth things. And it was a magazine that ran from 1976 to 1999, basically. And this is also some proofs about it. It's very interesting that you can find all these articles on the internet still. If you have some time to research it, you can find them.
Hey, got a quick question, if I may.
Yeah,
Have you looked at some of the articles? And I was wondering what kind of examples they were using that could done as, like, now we have P90 cameras and we can climb to the top of a mountain.
Basically, what they investigated how the ships go behind the horizon, but they don't, because they probably also had telescopes or something available, and they tried to get the measurements also in measuring what was available at the time to prove that it was a flat Earth. And I think they also use telescopes, those old ones you have for sea navigations. You can you can click them in together. You can also click them out, and then they become longer. And then you can basically watch them to the sea, and you can also get those ships back in focus. So they also use the instruments that were basically available for people at sea. You see that those old pirates have those devices. Put them against their eyes, and they put them out of some tubes out of each other, and then you can see basically these watch further in the distance. Am I breaking up, or is that just me?
It was a little bit, but you're fine now.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes my internet connection is a little bit.
Yeah, mine's like that a bit.
Oh, you have it the same. I also hear you.
Yeah, my computer's actually plugged into the modem downstairs, so I'm on a wire, so I'm not going, what you call it, when you're off. I've got a wire going into my internet, and it still goes on and off, and the bandwidth takes up a lot of artists.
Wait a second. Angel, is he also breaking up on your end or not? Okay, that's not.
You are as well.
Everybody's just breaking up.
Yeah,
It's very.
Karen, can hardly understand what you're saying, actually.
Really?
Now it sounds okay.
And is mine okay?
Right now you're fine.
Okay. Yeah, it did that in Hangout with Mark Sargent. All of a sudden, it also went like that for a short time of period. And I was even totally cut off in sound for a couple of seconds, and then it popped back in, and it was okay. So maybe it's just an internet or YouTube problem for some reason. Angel is having another tea or something.
Maybe he's on a beer.
No, I saw a tea sack hanging out. I think it's tea.
It's it's actually the if you follow Alex Jones, it's their caveman.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? It's a
yeah, of course.
Bone broth. Yeah, it's their bone broth stuff.
Okay, and does it taste any good or not?
Well, right now I have it with just water, so it tastes okay. Normally I have it with almond milk or coconut milk or something like that. But
oh yeah,
so I've had it in different ways, and it doesn't taste bad. And being that I know it's way better for me than like a sody pop.
Yeah, that's for sure. Cool.
But
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
I also drink coconut milk at the moment, and I sometimes put a little bit of berry syrup, real berry syrup in it from real berries that somebody in my neighborhood makes his syrup himself. And I always buy glass bottles of syrup at this little store, and they are 100% natural, not with any pesticides, sprays, nothing like that. And I always put a little bit in my coconut milk, and that makes the taste a little bit more sweet.
yeah, that or some honey, or I mean, there's so many things you can put in there.
Yeah, I'll just only be careful with honey in the United States, because they can label everything honey, even if it doesn't even contain any honey. Here in Germany, we have a regulation law that for honey to be called real honey, it has to contain 70% of honey, around 70%.
Luckily, I have a friend that actually has 5 stacks of beehives, so
Okay.
I know the bees.
You even know the bees, yeah. And that's the best thing to go to get it actually at an imker, yeah.
So I don't mind if some days it's more brownish than the other day, and some days it has little chunks of stuff floating in it, because I know it's all bee chunks.
It's all good. You probably also get those chunks that are propolis, and they're also good for your health. So you get everything.
I get chunks of the actual cone.
Yeah. Oh, those are also very healthy. Yeah, and good for you defense against disease. You mean humane system? If it's called the humane system, I don't know.
Angel, did you catch any of what artists said about like all those articles? It's gone away from the computer.
Well, I took a call, and it came back when he was talking about the articles, and that's why I'd asked, because he was talking about how they had them for a dozen or so years up until quite recently, and I was just wondering because and he was saying, just pointing out that you could use a periscope to actually do these experiments, but and now in the past this century, almost everyone could get a periscope, and you can even get telescopes. Now you can get telescopes at Costco. So these things are so within reach. 100 years ago, to have a telescope or a periscope, those were expensive toys, and you had to have somebody who knew how to work with glass to make a good lens, and they could pop them out like hotcakes. And they're probably made of plastic or fake glass that they can just pop out of molds. But it works.
I put on, yeah, of course. I put all the links in the group chat that I talked about, and even some more things. Yeah, the list, I can also put the second list in, if you want to, then you have almost everything. It's a very long list. This is basically the most important ones. I also sent them to Mark Sargent.
As a suggestion, sometimes you might want to consider taking your links and putting them into like a Google Doc, and then you can just share.
I already did it. I shared it with Patricia. I sent all those links to, and I also sent them. I sent them to myself on Google, and I also sent it to a friend of mine, and I also put it in a Word file and on a USB stick. And I also downloaded most of these files. I downloaded them in PDF, so I have always the original the files.
I hate when I go back to something and the web page is gone.
Yeah, that's why most of these links I have already downloaded it in PDF. So I have them always on my computer as a backup.
Yes. Thank you, Artis.
Yeah, you're welcome. Oh, you can even see the download files now for me. That's only. I don't know even what.
I find it really incredible that lots of information, not just a little bit, a lot of information.
Yeah.
That even NASA says we're flat.
It just really hits me that I've been on this earth for almost half a century now, and up until less than a year ago, I never thought twice that I didn't live on a ball. I kind of never
Same for all of us.
Well, when I heard about the flat Earth, it came very naturally for me. It was like I always knew for some reason.
Well, it didn't. I was ready to kind of accept. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I can almost believe that. They lie about everything else. Let me look into it. I approached it with I've been lied to about a lot of things that I know I've been lied to about. So let me check this out.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. You already had the mindset. That was also the case with me. That I already did a lot of research about all the things they lie about.
But I've never seen a bumper sticker, never seen a T-shirt, never saw a magazine, never saw a news article. I mean, it was very.
Yeah, they tried to hide that as much as possible. All those articles, yeah. And also, what I mentioned, often when you go to a library and you type in the library computer something about flat Earth and something pops up, just take that code and try to actually find that certain file or book. Because most of the time it will be gone because they steal it. Yeah, they steal those books. Just like they steal the most of the Masonic books, the real Masonic books. They are also already stolen out of the library.
Now that I've looked up flat Earth, like I was saying, a year ago, wasn't even on my radar. Now. Mm-hmm. It's on my YouTube suggested playlists every day.
Yeah.
And even on accounts that I have different Google accounts, ones that I don't subscribe to Flat Earth channels, they're still suggesting it to me, which is, I don't know if it's just becoming more and more awakened or that they're really good at knowing or comparing personas and Google's even better than I give credit for every time I think.
Yeah, that's indeed something to think about, that they actually can see, even if you are on another account, that you get the same notifications.
I'm pretty sure that they tie the MAC address, your IP address, and your geographical location. So if they might think I'm my brother or my sister or my father or my kid, they know they're coming from the same house. They know they're coming from the same IP address, even the same computer in some cases. I'll log off of one Google account and log on to another. And I get ads for flat Earth things. I'm like, I purposely keep certain things sterile of certain things.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was weird.
Interesting. Yeah, indeed. That's indeed weird. It's also very interesting. Yeah.
But, and there's so much of it out there. Somebody, was it was either Mark Sargent or one of the guys was saying a few years ago when he first started looking up, it was difficult to find things. And now you got Globebusters, and a dozen other people that have already got series of videos that will kind of walk you through the reality, as opposed to like being blinded by a bunch of people saying, "Oh, what are you talking about? You're on a ball. Go back to sleep."
Yeah, but there's so much in that ball bit, isn't there? There's so many more lies. I mean, the news is a lie, our history's a lie, television's a lie, the programs are a lie, just everything's a lie.
Even if you can see my screen now, even back in 1885, they had 100 proofs the Earth is not a globe.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Even then.
and it's basically, you can also download this one. I put that one is also in the links I put in the group chat.
I see.
And if you can, well, maybe I can do it again.
I got it. I see it right
Oh my
now.
goodness, Artist! I hadn't gone to the group chat. Artist is masses of it.
Well, basically, this is a whole book explaining that the Earth is not a globe, and it has proofs. It starts with this is number. It starts with number 1, of course. And I found that very interesting that here, this is number 1. Proof. Number 2, proof. And it goes on until 100. So that are a lot of proofs. Even back in the day, in 1800 and a bit, 1885.
I can't put them in the chat, Artist. They're too long.
So many proofs. Well, there must be some somebody who did a lot of research. That would be cool to make a reprint of it and actually hand that out in the libraries or at schoolyards. This is a very old book, very interesting.
You know, that would actually be a great idea. One of the things that I want to get a pamphlet that can be made and printed out and turned into a book. Like, you know how you have the pocket constitution? You may not because you don't have it in your country, but we have a pocket constitution since our constitution is relatively short and simple. That can be printed out on 10 pages and cut it out and fold it into a little book. But I wanted to do something like that. And now that I'm kind of getting into this endeavor, something of that nature as well, so that people can just hand to somebody in a mall or something like that. Hey, you know, check out those contrails. You notice how they're flat? Yeah, here's a pamphlet. Tell you about it. You know.
Yeah.
Just if somebody looks at it and they say, "Oh, this is just trash," it at least puts the seed. Because, like I said, that seed had never hit me for my first 40 plus years of life. No one ever tapped me on the shoulder and said, "It's flat." You know?
Yeah.
Now, since then, I found 2 people that one of my friends, his father worked for the education department. And he said in the 70s, when they started rolling out globes and stuff into the schoolrooms, he actually went to his school, the principal and those other people, and said, "Hey, this is not right." And they said, "Well, this is what we're doing. Have a nice day." You know, the education department, that's what it was. So, and my friend, he had never really thought about it either, but he knew that his father had gone and fought against that, and he never understood why until I was talking to him just recently, and he's like, "Yeah, my father always thought that." And, you know, I'm like, "He did?" He's like, "Well, yeah, he did. I remember he once went and fought about it." So it's just the programming. That's what I was getting at also. You were saying it was about when TV came around. That's because we're programmed. They call it that way intentionally. If they show you...
It's called the television program, indeed.
If there's a TV show where, you know, you have kids...
Mind control.
One of them is genetically modified and they have 2 mothers, then that becomes the norm because that's what you're programmed to accept as reality. That's your Overton window. That becomes your reality. And having mom and dad, that becomes the non-reality. That becomes the not norm. Oh, you actually have parents that sleep together? Ooh, that's disgusting. It's I don't know.
I just
Things
said
are changing.
mind control, isn't it? Television's mind control.
That's why it's called television. They tell their vision, only their vision. Yeah, it's also what there was an. I have to research it a little bit more. There was in England there was a whole documentary. It's not a very well-made documentary about the Brunswick effect. I don't know if you heard about that. It basically tells the story that the Brunswick television had a device in it installed that enhanced some certain ways of commercials. And basically what happened, it was a woman who had a Brunswick TV and saw a commercial of cat food. She didn't even own cats, but it's one day she came at home with about 40 cans of dog food, but she didn't even own cans. And another guy bought a bunch of other stuff. He didn't need it, but the Brunswick television was enhancing the commercial in such a way that it was almost hypnotic to people. So they actually bought things they didn't need. And later on there was, I think, those TVs, because the news got some paid newspapers got up with that, and they made a story about it. And then those television were turned in again. You have to give that television back to the dealership. And I read the story and saw a small video about it. It was not very well made, that video. It was based on a true story. So that's also interesting. It's called the Brunswick effect, I believe. I have to look further into that to actually research if it's legit or not. But it was in the 60s in UK. But that's also interesting. You can research all kinds of things on research sites, and just type in a certain topic that we have now. Only change the date to the 50s or 40s. Just like electric car. Type in 1910. Oh, there were cars back then. Type in other kinds of devices. Like you also have screen television, like we are doing now, basically. That was already invented in the 1960s. You had screen television. You can also zoom in with that television and talk to somebody in another room on a television screen. So they already had that in the 60s. There was Philips invented that for learning. There was a big learning building for education where everybody could go to with the newest technology, and it was basically financed by Philips in the Netherlands. And they had all the new inventions, and also they had in the 60s. And when I went there in the 80s, early 80s, they all still had that one. And you could pick up a phone, and then you have a screen in front of you, and you could talk to somebody else on the other side of the building with walls between it. So the things we are doing now, this Hangout, they already had the capabilities back in the 60s for that. So that's also very interesting. I think Karen even put it in the Hangout, that one of the television.
Which one was, sorry, I was just putting those links in the chat room. What was the last bit, Artis?
Oh no, the Philips phone was in 1974. Yeah. I can even show you that one if it works.
Go on then.
Let me see. This is from it is in Dutch, so I will explain it myself in English, because most of the people don't know the Dutch language. Let's see if it works. Can you see anything, Karen?
Yeah.
Okay, this is basically a television screen with a phone attached to it with buttons. And you can dial a certain number of another person located in another room, and then the picture of the other person in the other room at the other end of the building pops up. And also asking him to zoom in. So there's a device on top where you can actually zoom in here, over here. You can put out a mirror in front of that camera, and you can, now it's mirroring something that is in front of that television over here. You put a map in front of it, and then you can see now the map, and he's pointing to the map. And the other person in the other room, on the other end of the facility, you can see what he's showing. And basically, when he turns back the mirror, you can see his face again, and they can talk to each other on the phone with the speaker on it. You can look, here's another map he puts in front, and then the other person can see that. He can see it himself on the television. You can switch a channel that you can see yourself, and basically see the other person, or put a mirror out and see something on the floor in front of you. And this was in you can see, read it, in 1974. So just to put out that these type of things were all around again. And so it's amazing how old some devices actually are.
You mean they're making it look like everything happened now when they probably had quite a lot of this stuff a while ago?
You could clearly see in this movie I showed. It's from an archive site in the Netherlands that basically they had the capability of making some sort of a hangout back then. Only two persons, but maybe if you attached another screen to it, you could do a separate split screen, like they also already had in the 70s, those split screens in those early 70 movies. They used that. So the technology was already there in the 1970s. Only they didn't have internet, but...
Yeah, while the technology was there, unless you ran like a coax cable or antenna wire between the two parties, they didn't have a way to transmit the video stream, because they couldn't divide it into zeros and ones and do it over a telephone because they didn't have the internet yet.
No,
so
that's the only
in a building, but it wouldn't really work to talk to your grandma in another state.
No, that was not possible at the moment. But the technology was already there. Only not the internet, indeed. But it amazes me sometimes. But they had some kind of internet in France before the internet we have. They had in France, in Europe. They also had a pre-dating internet thing that was in the early 80s. And then you could get across the city even with a telephone.
Hello?
Some of these articles, the flat, plain truth.
Are you researching the things I put in the links?
I'm trying to save them all.
Yeah.
Oh, well done, artists. More people are looking at those.
Well, I try to give as many people. I try to give as many people this information. The more people they have it, the harder it is to get rid of it.
Can I just say that we have been going for 3 hours now? Do you think it's about time that we carry on talking more?
Well, in my opinion, we covered everything I wanted to talk about. So.
Sorry, I logged out then for a second. What did you say?
I said we covered everything I wanted to talk about, so it's fine by me.
Do you have anything to say?
I'm good. I had an entertaining time. I'm always open to talk with like-minded people, open-minded, and share knowledge.
Yeah, indeed, it was great.
Patricia, do you have anything to say?
No, not really. I mean, do what, you know, I'm getting a bit tired. I just wanted to ask Artist, what were you struggling with that friend of yours? The type of car. Was it a water one, did you say?
Yeah, basically you run on water.
All right, okay.
And it was in the early 60s. And
Early
he also had a
Bit of feedback.
motorboat running on the water fuel. So he had a car and a boat running on basically a water-based powered cell or something. Basically, you'd run on tap water.
I'd be interested to know how they did that, because if you can get a boat that runs on water as the fuel, then you have a boat that will never run out of fuel.
Yeah, exactly. I can quickly look if I have an Stanley Meyer also made in the 80s a car that could run even on seawater.
Right. Now what he did is, and this other person could have been doing the same thing, he was
Probably.
working with separating the water into its respective gases, and he was actually running his vehicles, well, partially on hydrogen. I think I explained that a couple of shows ago. He would put in normal water and hit it with a frequency that would basically shatter the water into its respective gases. That would give him one burst of pressure, which would push the piston. Then he would recompress those gases, which was basically an HHO gas, hit it with a spark, and that explosion would push the piston a second time. And then the exhaust would be just water vapor. So we got 2 bangs out of every spritz of water.
Yeah. Also, there's an I have a file of it. We'll pop up 2 files. Just a second. There was. I hope my bandwidth is holding. It probably is. Yeah, I'm still okay with the sound or not?
Yeah, you're fine.
Fine.
Okay. I hope you can. Let's see if this. Almost closed the window. It always takes a time. Yeah, this is a patent from a wind turbine-driven generator to recharge batteries in an electric car. So basically, this one already drives for free. It looks like this from the side. You can see here the patent number, so everybody can go to this patent site. You can type here in this number and it will pop up. Or this number, sometimes you have to use this number. Sometimes you have to use another number. But the number of the patent.
The link that you put in the note.
Yeah, I will put the link in the group chat.
It's already there. I pulled that one up.
Oh yeah. Here's in the group chat. And, basically, that is one. That is driven on wind. And this is. I hope I'm still sharing that. Am I sharing another one now?
You're sharing.
Yeah. Okay, that's
You're
cool.
fine.
And this one is basically Stanley Meyer's water fuel cell, the patent. So the patents and those patents, the other one I don't know for sure, that wind turbine, but this one is public domain now because it has expired. And if you have to click here on full pages, otherwise you get only 1 page. Now it has to load again because you have to click on full pages, then you get the whole document. Basically, you can see everything. How it works, just to show you it's not just 1 page, but many pages. So now you can see the pattern number, so you can research that one for yourself. So that's very handy to investigate those things. And you can also get another pattern. Sometimes I'm playing it with it and typing pattern numbers just randomly and pop-up things, the strangest things of inventions. But basically those inventions of a wind turbine driven car and a car that runs on water fuel cells. You can find the patents on the internet because the patent site is open for public. And that one of Stanley Meyer is now public domain, so anybody can build that one now.
Thank you so much for that, Artis.
You're welcome.
We should. It's over 3 hours now. I'm quite tired.
Yeah, 3 hours is just a nice time to end and hang out. Otherwise, it will become again a very long one. So am I okay with that, Karen?
So who's coming back for a hug then? Patricia?
Oh, yeah.
Angel's there.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for watching again. We appreciate that very much.
Patricia's coming back for a hug.
I'm here.
Yay. So you've got a bit of echo there, Patricia. Anyway, yourself, Patricia. Let's speak. That's it. Thank you, my darling. Yeah, I'm sorry. Thanks everybody in the chat room for watching. Thank you so much, Angel and Artis. And Artis, thank you so much for your hard work today. Everybody, big flat earth hugs for everybody. Tomorrow, I think we've got Martin Leakey tomorrow. Anyway, big hugs, everybody.
Big hugs. See you next time. See you next time.
Yeah, see you next time. Bye.